welcome everyone. It is Wednesday evening and I am coming to you live from Fish Pal. Well, this week I thought I'd be a little bit different and I would actually have my guests in the stream just to say hello to everybody so you know who's coming on this evening. So we have joining us from all the way from Inverness, we have Gordo and Cheyenne Stronach. Say hello, team.
Hi, everyone.
Well, they're going to be talking. You've been out fishing, haven't you?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to be chatting to you in a moment about your fishing, and then I also have, and this is one gentleman that I've wanted on here for so long. He's the editor-in-chief of the Fly Fish Culture magazine, Pete Tyjas. Hello, Pete.
Hey, Anne, how's it going?
It's going well. As you can see, we've got the logo on there. We've got the wonderful backdrop of one of your magazine covers. And so we're going to be chatting to you in about 10 minutes. So I'm going to just remove you from the stream. Everybody, I know we've got comments coming in already. So everybody keep adding your comments. If you've got questions for Gordo and Cheyenne, please add them into the feed. Also say hello as well, because we want to know where you are. We want to know if you're out fishing as well. And also as well as if you've got comments for Pete. And we're going to be talking about fishing in Devon as well. So if you want to know about fishing down there, just ask Pete as well. So because he did used to be a guide there. So we're going to see you in a moment, Pete, and we'll speak to you in a bit. Okay. So there we go. So I'm going to put this up to big. Hello. How are we doing? Oh, I've muted them. I keep having this mute problem. I'm so sorry. Let me take that banner off as well. So we're going to put that on when Pete comes on. So we've already had some comments on. Have a guess who we've got on? The man himself.
Hi, David.
The wonderful David. Hello, David. Now, tell us, where have you been this week?
So this week we've been, at the weekend we were at Lockhinch. We stayed at my granny's caravan in Huntly for the weekend, and we went to Lockhinch and we had a blast.
You did. And tell us a little bit about the fishing at Lockhinch, because it looks absolutely stunning.
It was excellent. So the water is coming in from a burn, so the water is clear so you can see the fish. And there was a lot of fish rising. A few of us lost. So myself, Mum and Dad all lost. Dad lost 2 and myself and Mum lost 1. And Gordon, how many did you catch? 5?
Yes. Gordo, were they on? I've got some photos here. I've got you netting fish, Gordo. So what was the fly? What was working?
That one there was the olive lure that I had on. It was a mixture. So once I used one, I tried to use it again and it didn't work. So I was just rotating my flies ever so often. That one there was the second one or was it the third one? Second or third one that I caught that was the white Ally McCoist that Shan had tied 2 nights before. So after she tied it, I was going to try it and see if I would get anything with it. So luckily in that opportunity, at roughly 2.5 pound, swam past and decided it would have that for its dinner. Little didn't know I had a hook and Gordon was onto a fish. So it was a really good fighting fish as well.
And Gordo, did you share with the rest of the family what you were catching on? Were you sharing flies?
Yeah, it's one thing about fishing that we do is we just share our flies. We don't mind if we catch on one and we tell someone else and they catch on it. We just share our flies, and it's one way of trying to get everyone to catch. Fishing isn't about always catching. It's about being outside with the rod in your hand. And just if somebody catches a fish, it's an extra bonus. And it's always a great laugh as well when you're onto a fish and you've got Mum running about with a camera trying to snap up photos of you playing the fish and getting videos of you playing at fish. So it's all just a good bit of fun.
Well, tell us a little bit about Lockhinch, because it looks like it's got some really good areas with platforms, etc.
So there's 3 different locks. We fished 2 of them, and each of them has a few platforms off it, and it has bits that go out in the water so you can fish off it. It's just like a bank. We were mostly fishing off of the sides of the banks, but I did try out on the pier bit beside in that picture. I tried that. I didn't have any luck, but it was actually really good to fish off. My line got caught a few times in the wood, but it was very good fishing.
Well, and I have noticed you've got some fabulous hats. We're advertising Loop this evening. We all love Loop here. And obviously David, he loves Loop as well. So just tell us a little bit about why we're advertising Loop this evening.
Well, when we went to Loch-Inch, we knew it had something to do with Loop. I wasn't too sure. And then when we arrived, there was the wonderful Will Peake there. Currently, Al wasn't there because he's away at the moment. But Will was there, and we got chatting to him. And then the next day we went back, and David was there. And we couldn't help ourselves but go look in the shop.
Oh, yeah.
Very exciting. An amazing range of rods and clothing and lots of different bits and bobs. And Shan couldn't resist looking at the jacket. And what got what? The jacket.
So David convinced me. It didn't take much to convince me, but David said, well, I've always really wanted a purple jacket because I like the color purple, but there is a purple one, but it's not the color purple I was looking for. But then I spotted the blue, and I think my eyes lit up, and I wasn't going to leave without it, so I bought it for myself.
Well, you work really hard, and I know you both work really hard in your mum's business. So, and you've been doing lots of farming work over the summer months as well. So you deserve those jackets, and also as well as they're really good quality jackets. So that if you're in a downpour, and we've been fishing in a downpour, haven't we, Cheyenne?
We have indeed. I wish I had it then.
Yes. Now, for anybody who wants to know where Loch-Inch is, and I would highly recommend you to go there because it is an absolutely beautiful fishery. I've got a map. Okay, it's in between. Obviously, you've got Aberdeen here. It's how far from Aberdeen, or how far from where you are as well in Inverness?
It would be about an hour and 45 minutes from Inverness. But we stayed in Huntly, so it was only 10-20 minutes from there, which was really handy for us. And also, sorry, it was really good fishing, so it was worth the travel if we did come from Inverness. But luckily, we got to stay in the caravan, so we had a blast of a weekend too.
Fantastic. And also as well, anglers, if you're washed off, if you're fishing the Dee, the Don, basically the Devron, it's really in an accessible area, and it just means that you can actually continue your fishing and at least have a little bit of fun. So are you off anywhere next week?
We're not too sure we're going this week, Anne. It might just have to be a surprise, a pick out of the hat maybe. But we're not too sure, but hopefully we'll get to go somewhere that direction.
All right. Well, I'll let you go, and we'll speak to you next week. Okay.
Oh, also, another quick thing. A quick message from Will, Al, and David. They said they absolutely love you, Anne.
Thank you. I just think they're lovely too. Thank you. I'm just so embarrassed now. I am now going. Thank you, guys. Thanks for embarrassing me. Goodbye.
No problem.
Next week, tight lines. Bye. Bye. I just love them, and I am really, really, really embarrassed as well. And I just love them. Now, I noticed that we had the wonderful Gavin from Junction. He's actually watching, and for anybody who might have been on watching Sunday night, seeing Bob and Paul gone fishing, they actually fished Junction, and they also fished a Beamerside beat, and fabulous program. Highly recommend it to you if you haven't seen it. And also, as well as that, there could be a fish alert or two there as well. So do go and watch it on the BBC Two. It's on every week at 8 o'clock, but you can go and catch Sunday night show again. And of course, you can see Gavin and the boys actually fishing the Tweed, and the Tweed did look magnificent as well. So I'm going to bring in my next guest. He is a gentleman that is the editor-in-chief of the Fly Fish Culture magazine. He's a guide, and he's also an app guide casting instructor. Welcome, Pete, and thanks for joining me this evening.
Thanks so much, Anne. That's a tough act to follow. Those guys are really cool, aren't they? A great advert for fishing too.
Oh, I just love them. I love them. It's all about family fishing, and their mum and dad, they all go fishing. So it's really important. It's really important. Now, how's your fishing been? Because I noticed that you and Emma have been out, your wife, and I particularly love this photo that Emma is she following behind you with the net?
Now, I've got to be clear on this one, that basically she was going to jump in the pool below me, so I was going further up the river, so it probably looks a lot more worse than it actually was, but I was going to fish further up the river there. So but one of us usually takes the net and leaves it between the two pools, so that was it. And the dog knew who was going to catch the fish, so he stayed with Emma.
Yes, I have some fabulous fish photos everywhere, everybody. We now have Fish Alert on. I've got some wonderful photos of Emma. Where did she catch this one?
That one's from our home river. It's the Tor. We're in Devon in the southwest, and we fish a particular stretch of water most of the time. And we've been fishing there 4 or 5 years now, and we're really starting to get a really good handle on where we want to be fishing, how we should be fishing. And Emma just loves it. She loves spey casting, and a fish happens to be a happy bonus as well. But yeah, I just love fishing with her. She's such good company as well.
And we've got so many fish photos here as well, because you were a guide for how many years were you a guide?
17 years, full time as well. 17 full time. So I've really, well, I guess I've quit now. So I've not been fishing the last season and a half, and I don't miss it a great deal. I'm loving going fishing, but I've loved over that period of time getting so many people into fishing as well, teaching them how to fish and getting them into it, and subsequently seeing people who have gone on fly fishing journeys as a result of it, which is really cool to have been able to be part of, really.
Yeah, and this is a recent one because you've got your beard.
Yes, the COVID beard.
Because you don't just fish for sea trout, for salmon. You have some absolutely beautiful photos over the year. Obviously, that one is from last year. That's you've caught some really big brown trout, haven't you, down on the Tor?
Yeah, it's that. Funnily enough, that trout came from just above where you showed the picture of Emma with the salmon. But generally, West Country fish aren't considered to be particularly big. And this one, the water had just been clearing down, and I decided it wasn't right for salmon. And I said to Emma, I'm just going to pull a streamer. And I managed to catch that one, which was extraordinary. But even post lockdown, the fishing has been amazing. And, I've been catching some sizable trout on dry flies. I know a guest you've had, Paul Proctor, has been down and had a fish just up from where you can see in the background of just under 3 pounds that was rising quite happily. And we've been really, really lucky. I couldn't tell you the reason why we're catching them, but I've had, 3 pound trout on dry flies this year. Good friend of mine. It's a lovely story, actually, that he wasn't able to get out fishing so much. He'd had a baby and wasn't able to fish. And I took him to the river and we fished a pool, and he hooked this great big fish. And I netted it for him. We went to take the photo, and I said, dude, just move your hand a little bit so we can get, and the fish, he just let it go. And I said, man, I didn't get a photo. And he said, doesn't matter, we saw it. And I thought that was a lovely, lovely story. And it goes back to what your previous guest was saying, it's not just about the fish, it's the bigger picture as well.
Oh, definitely. And you don't just, it's like there's some beautiful grayling shots as well. Again, pre-beard.
Yeah.
Can I just let everybody know, if they are following you, Pete, these photos are really recent in the sense of in the last year. They're not photos from years ago. All your photos are obviously the pre-beard ones are how many months ago? Start of the year?
Yeah, that grayling one was not that long ago. That was at the start of the year sometime, probably February, something like that. So yeah, that wasn't that long ago. I'm out fishing a lot.
Yeah. And of course, Emma's fishing with you as well. That's brilliant photos.
Yeah, that one was Sunday. And we're just waiting. We've had a lot of rain here, as I'm sure everyone else has as well. We're just waiting for the river to come down. We're going to be on the river tomorrow, hopefully. And that one was on Sunday. The amazing thing about that was that was on a fly I tied, which I'm shocked a salmon even took a fly that I tied. So that was great to see, and really pleased for it. We don't get lots of fish. You know, my home river, the Tor, a good year of catches of fish for the total river is about 300 or so. So that hopefully puts it in context. So they're really special moments when we're lucky enough to catch a fish, and we both got off the mark this year. So we're pleased about that. But we just go down there and enjoy it, to be honest. And we play around and see if we can find a fish. Sometimes we do. A lot of the time we don't.
So what are the conditions at the moment? By the sounds of it, the Tor, the Exe, those rivers, they're actually fishing really well, aren't they?
They've been, certainly we've been catching from a trout perspective. If we look at post lockdown, when we were first allowed out, the fishing for us was amazing. The trout fishing, that was. And the hatches were really good. That was a really, really good sign. The issue we've had really is lack of water from a salmon point of view. We had a lift around July time. I managed to catch one mid-July, somewhere around that sort of time. And that's, from a salmon point of view, has been a difficult one. Sea trout, I've not seen so many around, to be perfectly honest. I like targeting them. I like my bed. I like sleeping. So I like to go after them during the day. And I like catching them on dry flies and nymphs, which is really, really good fun as well. So I really enjoy that aspect of it. I haven't seen so many of those around. What we've done on the Tor is it improved the access for migratory fish. And my guess is perhaps they're running through a little bit quicker. The sea trout running through a little bit quicker. But I'm hoping that fingers are always crossed that there might be a little wall of fish waiting for us coming up the river sometime soon.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, that'll be you're out tomorrow, so I look forward to seeing the photos, obviously, of you netting Emma's fish.
Yeah.
So, just to let everybody, we've actually got somebody on here that's watching this from the Philippines as well.
Wow.
So good evening. I hope I'm pronouncing this right, because my pronunciation of names is shocking, is Ronita. So good evening, Ronita, from the Bacolod city in the Philippines. And Pete Wilkins, he's actually said, what's the cat doing in your chin?
It's having a snooze, Pete.
Yeah, so this beard, you've gone from clean-shaven to lockdown beard. Were you in competition with anyone?
Well, obviously, a friend who works closely on the magazine, Brett O'Connor, has a magnificent growth. My friend Warren McCarthy as well. He came down and fished with me recently, and yeah, I came a very poor second, I have to say. So yeah, I'm a Johnny come lately to the beard scene, I have to say.
Oh, well, all I'll say is that these photos, I was going, gosh, these photos, I've got pre-beard and post-beard. Do you know something, Pete? I remember chatting to you years ago and people that are watching this, that have been in the world of fishing for a long time, will remember your weekly magazine, Eat, Sleep and Fish. How did that come about?
It was one of those really strange ones that I was lucky enough to be fishing in Montana with a friend of mine. And we were fishing some of the People viewing may know it. It's a place outside Missoula called Rock Creek, and it's a phenomenal stream, absolutely beautiful. And I'd caught a really nice fish, and I just sat on a rock, and my buddy Ray came over and said, "What you doing?" And I said, "This is about as good as it gets. Wouldn't it be lovely to be able to share these moments with people?" And we got home, and about 2 months later, Eat Sleep Fish came to life, and we ran it. It was free. It was not for profit. We ran it for 75 issues, as you can see there, which was about 6 years or so every month. And we had everything, as I said, went back in. There was no advertising. There was no sponsorship. It was just free and not for profit. And it was just a labor of love. And it was my chance to bring give something back to a pastime that means so much to me, really.
And you had 25,000 readers per month, reading this. And I even made it on episode 14 as well with Here Come the Girls, which was a huge honor. Thank you so much. And that would have been about 2012.
Wow.
No, that's how long ago.
Yeah.
That photo, I had that photo taken in 2008 because I wanted to show people that women who go fishing don't wear just khaki, they do wear skirts, etc. And I wanted to do something that was so different that people hadn't seen before, and that's why we did that. Which somebody very kindly took the photos for us. So you did Eat Sleep Fish. So you really had you've done a lot of work, of training, ready for the fly fish culture. How did that come about?
That was I wanted with Eat Sleep Fish to actually be able to bring a best of or a hard copy annual or whatever it was. And one of the really cool things about Eat Sleep Fish was that we had people get book deals as a result of writing there. 2 people actually. People went on to write for hard copy magazines and everything else. And I wanted to think about bringing perhaps a best of, and then it sort of kind of grew from there very, very quickly. And I suddenly thought, well, actually, and it seemed to me as though the marketplace for magazines at the time, because we're coming up, the next issue will be 3 years old now. And I think what I wanted to do was bring something a little bit different, bring something that was independent, and not talk about how to, because that's covered really well in so many places, or not this fly will catch you, just about what it means to us. And, as your guest said, it's not just about the fish, it's about the friendships, it's about the time you spend on the water with people, whether you catch fish or not sometimes, and we've had cases of that in the magazine as well, where people have written about that. And just about what I wanted it to be was the next best thing to being on the water, but also written by people that you could associate with and say, actually, I'd kind of like to fish with them. So it's really, truly written by fishermen for fishermen. And it's just been an absolute labor of love. I've really, really enjoyed doing it. As I said, we're coming up 3 years now, and we've done it quietly. We've grown readership really quietly and just let people find us, really. And it's been really, really great fun to meet people who read the magazine and are enjoying it as well.
And I think it's very current as well when you're there saying that it's about the stories of people going fishing, because that's what Bob and Paul are currently doing, aren't they? And people absolutely love that program because it's touching everybody, not just the angler. Lots of great feedback. And did you launch it in Farlow's? Because I've got this lovely photo.
Yeah, we did. That was actually the 3rd copy. And we wanted to be, because down in Devon, we could have tried to do something down there, but we thought that might be easier for people to actually get to. And it was a fun story. My friend Nick works there, and Tom, I know, and the guys there. And we thought, well, people will know where it is. It's relatively easy to find. And I said, do you think we could have our party there and opening party? And they said, absolutely. I said, I want to run something by you. We don't want wine and canopies. We want to have beer and pizza. And I thought they're going to say no in a minute, and they didn't. And it was really, really cool to be able to do that. They said it was the best attended event they've put on there, which was really cool. So I know all the wrong people, and they all turned up on that night as well.
But that's really good, because again, it's not the norm, and also as well as that people like that, because and the magazine has gone from strength to strength as well, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Go on.
We've been really, really lucky that the last 2 issues we've sold out of, and we're not huge, massive print runs. You can't walk in Smiths and buy it. You buy it direct from us. Emma and I pack it. We send it out and everything. And very often when I can, write a note in there and say thank you for supporting us and everything else. And we try and be personal and reply to everyone really quickly. And I'm in touch with people the whole time and make sure I say thank you, and share the whole experience with them as we grow, really.
And it means a lot as well to people. And one thing I absolutely adore about the magazine is the actual art content of it. It is just so beautifully put together.
Yeah, we let the cover speak for itself, and I carefully go through each cover, or what I think might make a good cover. I run it through Emma, and then I'll show it to Brett, and then our designer John as well, and say, look, I kind of like this. I think this should be a cover. And then we bounce it around and go from there. And I've been really pleased. We don't, as you see, it's not sort of plastered with other writing over there. We want the art to speak for itself and for people to enjoy that as well. The paper's really thick on that as well, so we call it a magazine, but really it's more of a journal because it's thick quality paper as well. So, and like you say, we'd like to have the good photography and great photos. One of the things we're really keen on as well is not having grip and grin photos as well. So, the fish are photographed just in the water or just above. There's a great example from Eric Strader out in Montana, actually. And that's how we tend to have photos, or when people have taken photos of fish, no grip and grins as well. Fish are important to us, and we don't want trophy shots really always.
Those are absolutely beautiful as well, and also as well as that, you've got you focus very much on the UK, but you've got readers literally across the world, like the guys at Sage. They love reading it.
Yeah, they do. The guys at Patagonia like it as well, and it's great. Simon Gorsworth loves it, and it's always lovely to speak to him, and I know he's a big fan as well. And he put me in touch with Peter Morse, who is down in Australia, who wrote us a piece in fishing in Mongolia, and it was great to meet those. We sell we sell single copies, but we sell subscriptions as well. We have subscribers down in Australia. We've sold single copies to China, all over the place, which has been really interesting and pleasing. And the nice thing is that people have come back to us as well and bought further copies or bought subscriptions as well. So what we try and do is make it different. You don't know what you're going to get each time. What I make sure is when I read it, that it's something that I would enjoy reading myself. And the next most important thing is that the readers enjoy it as well. And if I like it, then I think the readers will like it too. And we go from there, and we don't heavily edit as well. Obviously, there'll be the obvious things that we do with it. But I want it to be the piece that the writer has sent to me. We don't want it sort of, pulled apart. And, if it's made the cut, then we're really, really happy to put it in as it should have gone in, really.
So the next edition, just give us a flavour what people have got to look for.
Wow. There's, I think I'm working on the winter one at the moment. So I've just been working on that this afternoon. The autumn one comes out in mid-September, and there's just a really nice mix. We've got grayling articles in there. We've got catching fish. Stan Mankoff has written a really nice piece for us, catching fish in Slovenia. Just a really nice mixture of articles that are just capturing the essence of why we're loving fishing so much.
And you really are capturing the imagination of people watching this evening, and especially our young viewers on the photos as well. So thank you for that, Pete. Because again, these photographs, that one in the Yellowstone Park, obviously that was a feature on fishing there. And these are places that many of us would only dream about going to.
Yeah, and they're beautiful. I actually met the guy who took that photo, Eric. I've met and fished with, and it's lovely to be able to meet these people and speak to them subsequently and say, look, I know you take beautiful photos. Could we? And use fly culture as a showcase for these people as well. And one of the things that we're doing with the writers for the magazine as well is showcasing and breaking new writers, because I think everyone's got something to say in fishing, no matter how experienced, that somebody's got a story they might want to share about a day, about whatever it is. And that's what we've tried to do with that, and give everyone a shot. And that's kind of the ethos that we have with Eat Sleep Fish as well, and continuing that along the way. And just trying to put something out that we're proud of every day. We're not trying to take over the world. We're just trying to put what we feel is something, a nice product that we think the readers will enjoy too.
And also the Everybody's Got a Story. You also have ventured in the world of podcasts. And I love the one when you got John Hazlitt. He was on one of your podcasts, and your path crossed 25 years ago.
Yeah, he's just amazing guy. And, if I've been lucky enough to do a little bit of steelheading, and if you get the chance to go to Oregon, hang out with John, because he's just phenomenal. He's an awesome guide, great company, and fantastic. And as you say, we sort of almost crossed paths in Colorado 20 odd years ago when I was fishing out there, and I was some scruffy urchin, and he's making his way as a guide, and it was just really nice to suddenly connect with him. And it's been great to stay in touch with these people as well. And he was such a good guest, and steelheading is just an extraordinary sport. It's just fantastic fun.
And tell us the season when the steelheads start as well.
I know there's summer fish and winter runs. I've tended to go. I've only been there 2 times, and I've been to British Columbia. We do it pretty cheap. We did Airbnbs and stuff like that, and stayed in nice cheap places, and then treated ourselves. We had a couple of days with John, and that's it. And then we figure out the rest ourselves, which is great. So it's usually for us October time, really.
Yeah.
And that to me, it's a fish that's not easy to catch. And I kind of like that idea that you're fishing in colder conditions, although it didn't look like it in that photo. It was a lovely sunny day, but in those tougher conditions and earning those fish. And that makes it kind of fun too.
And the thing is that at that time of the year, the October, November time, is when a lot of the guides actually go out and fish for them, because it is more affordable, but also as well as that you do have those tough conditions as well. Yeah. So talking of guests, and I know that on your podcast, you've had obviously just the quality of the guests as well. And I've got this lovely photograph of Charles Jardine, the amazing Charles Jardine. Where was that? Because that wasn't at Charles, was it?
No, that was John Aplin's on the Froome. And it's a beautiful photo, and it's a lovely, that's to me was what these things are about, and sums everything up. And Charles, and I've never made any secret of the fact, the impact he had on me, him and Pete Cockle, who you've had on here too, have just had such a massive impact on me as a fly angler, how I look to fishing as well. And to get the chance to sit down and chat with these people and tell them what they mean to you. There's a bookshelf behind me full of Charles's books, there's Pete's books there, his videos, everything else. And these guys, at the time were cutting edge, and they still are actually. And they went out and they learnt their trade. And then in those days, you had to write a book about it. or a magazine article. You didn't have another way of actually reaching people, and the chance to buy those books, learn so much from them and look up to them, was really lucky to be able to do that, and to know them too. I count myself as extremely fortunate.
Oh, well, I adore Charles Jardine. He's so wonderful. And listeners, Charles Jardine is running a virtual London marathon around Rutland at the beginning of October. So we're going to have Charles coming on and talking about that. And also we're going to put some links on in coming weeks so that you can actually support him, because he's actually doing it for Fishing for Schools. So, which is a really, really big thing at the moment, because when he came on, Pete, with lockdown, he was there saying these young people, they had that opportunity to go fishing, whereas at lockdown, that was all taken away from them.
Yeah, that's funnily enough. In the last issue of the magazine, I think I wrote, we don't have an editor's thing. We just usually have a list of 12 things that symbolize or show what it means to us. And I think I wrote something along the lines of, it's only when you're unable to do something that you realize what it really truly means to you. And there are many other important things going on in the world, we know right now, but for a group of us, and I'm sure many of the people watching, fishing does mean a lot to us. And we missed that time when we weren't able to do it, and we're just so enjoying it right now. Every moment on the water is special.
And I think also as well is that one of the things that people were saying is it's so good for their mental health. There is so many things going on in the world at the moment, and a lot of them are not good things, but going onto the water and casting a line, it actually helps people to balance and be able to cope with things that are happening on that everyday life as well, and what's going on around the world. And that is, to have fishing and that opportunity to do that is, we're very, very lucky, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It means a lot to me. My life revolves around it. And even, having worked in it 17, 18, 19 years now, I love it now more than ever. And I was just trying to figure out why there aren't so many pictures of me with the beard. And that's because I'm fishing on my own a lot of the time now. So being a guide, you get used to fishing with people the whole time. And I'm actually now spending more time fishing on my own. And I'm really loving that aspect of it, where I was used to standing next to somebody. When I went fishing myself, I'd have a friend with me. Usually we'd share a rod, which is a great fun way to fish. But I actually really am enjoying fishing on my own. And I'm loving it more than I've ever loved it, I think.
Yeah, you've got that. It's that zone. You're in that zone.
Yeah.
And it's about you. You're not having to worry about somebody else, sort of help them, etc. Your 40th podcast, 40 podcasts, can I just give you a big thumbs up for that?
Yeah.
Because that is a serious amount of work to do 40 podcasts. And this one, that's a special one as well. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to know Fergal for quite a long time now. And, we used to fish the same fishing club many years ago on the Lee in Hertfordshire. And what we talked about there was the damage that water companies are actually doing to the river via pollution, via abstraction. And he's so passionate about it, and rightly so. And it was really interesting, actually, that when you showed that last cover of Eat, Sleep, Fish, I just saw in the headline, worrying times there, water companies. Now, I guess this has been brewing for me for a long time now. And there is some serious stuff going on. I'm releasing another podcast tomorrow with a gentleman called Martin Smith, who actually took on a water company. But, water companies are abstracting the chalk streams around North London. Some of them have been completely sucked dry. There are sewage treatment works letting sewage into the river. They're emptying tanks when there's rain. The thing about it is that if you're fishing a river, there's a pretty good chance there's going to be a sewage treatment works on that river. So as a result of that, that's going to be affecting your river somewhere down the line. And the podcast tomorrow, the guy talks about, there are hardly any fish where they're fishing now in Yorkshire because of this. And he's taken on the water company, and they're actually getting some headway now. But the problem is that we're a country with a lot of people on. We're building more houses. The infrastructure for those houses on the sewage treatment works, for example, can't cope. No. And so what it seems to me is that the water companies, when they pollute the water, they get fined. But they use that fine as part of their operating costs. So they're not putting the money back in to replace and repair. And a lot of these, a lot of this stuff is Victorian. The pipes and everything is ancient. So that's an issue as well. So, that was a real tipping point for me. It's been brewing, as we've seen, for 5 years for me that I've been talking about it. But it's getting worse and worse and worse. And it's not going to get better unless we're able to take the water companies to task and say, look, this is wrong. This is wrong. What you're doing is wrong, and we need to do something about it. So, Fergal's one was just absolutely phenomenal. The one tomorrow is going to be really interesting as well. But everyone needs to be aware, if you're fishing a river, there's a pretty good chance that the sewage, there may be leaks in pipes and it's going into the groundwater and coming through that way. It may be they're just emptying stuff out and it's going into the river. So I think we need to be really, really vigilant and just be on top of water companies the whole time and contacting the EA whenever there is a leak, whenever there's pollution, and just continually being on them, taking photos, because it's not happening. We had over, I think it was last weekend, the Somerset Froome was polluted. I think that was farming waste going in. The river in Wales as well. Thousands or hundreds of possibly thousands of fish were killed there as well. This has got to stop, because it's just going to continue. If they think they can get away with it and just be fined what isn't enough, they need to be fined. The fines need to be big enough so that they, instead of having to pay the fines, they invest in the infrastructure. And that's the way we're going to actually sort these guys out, I think, anyway. There's much smarter people than me looking at this, but that's how it seems in my simple little world.
Yeah, well, I went on a river watchers course with Northumbrian Water, and when they introduced that, they were talking about the systems that the money that they've got to spend to upgrade this. And the thing was that when these the sewage outlets were built, they weren't built for people having an extension on the house where they were putting the washing machine and everything, and then also new housing, because the water companies end up getting all that new housing. And the thing is that the storage units, they weren't built to cope with that as well. But the lovely thing that they do is that they do this water court, this river watchers, and people actually go and walk an area, and they walk an area where they've got the sewage outlets, etc. And if they see any damage, they can contact the Northumbrian Water and say there's damage here, etc., so that they can actually go and do something about it before it gets really, really, an even bigger problem. So there are some that are trying to be proactive, and I just think the stuff that Northumbrian Water are doing, they are trying to make a difference as well. So but I totally agree with reference to the water companies being responsible, and also as well as that some of them are not actually owned by UK companies, are they? They're internationally owned.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that, we've had the press recently in The Guardian, I think The Telegraph, talking about this. And as anglers, we probably know this is going on. But the thing is to engage the general public and continually remind them about these things, because they'd have seen these things in the paper. And then obviously people have got really busy lives and they probably forget about it. But we consistently need to let them know what is going on out there. And that may be social media. Every time I see something now that I tag in, I think it's the CEO of Environment Agency, James Bevan, and I tag him and ask him what's happening, and I don't get a reply yet. but I'm just going to keep on and keep on. And if we can get more and more people doing that, and there are people been doing this for quite some time, Fergal and all the people he's speaking to, but the bigger, if the voice can get louder and louder and louder, then we can't let that get away. And it's similar, I know we chatted off mic about the salmon farms as well, and the salmon farm in Argyle, coming loose, fish getting into the system there. Now we'll be coming into the Christmas run before too long, and the wonderful stuff Corinne's doing. We had in Fly Culture, we interviewed Michael Frodin, and that didn't pull any punches on there. That was really, really interesting. But we need to let the public know what's happening with salmon farming. And we also need to let them know it's not good for you to eat it as well. And coming into Christmas, I think, is an ideal opportunity to continually let people know. And these guys are doing this now, I know. But if we can just make the voices louder and louder, I'm sure people's ears will prick up and they'll take notice.
And I know we've already got people who are watching this. I've got Fiona McDonald. She's put an angry face on. She totally agrees with us that, there is more that we can do. And Twitter is a really, really good platform to actually go and speak to these CEOs as well, because most of the CEOs of water companies do actually have a Twitter handle, and some of them actually do their own Twitter as well. So if you do want to go and make a difference, go and hashtag them or at them on a Twitter, because you will actually be coming up in the feed and get it trending. I think the thing is that if you can get things trending, look at Donald Trump Jr. and the trending of him talking the other day, and he mentioned the Pebble mines, and look at the difference that's making.
Yeah, and that's been a fight that's gone on for many, many years, hasn't it? And it looks as though that's coming to fruition, and people just didn't let that go. And it's people like Fergal is exactly the same. He's not going to let it go. And if we can get more and more of us engaged to do this and just make as much noise about it as possible in a positive and well-reasoned manner, then I think we might get them to start listening. But there's other ideas I'm kicking around at the moment, that we become more visual as well, and let them know we're not all like J.R. Hartley. Some of us are, will stand up and be counted if it needs to be done to get these issues sorted out, to be honest.
I think the angling community, especially in Scotland, they have stood up and made sure they've been counted. And I do think that I think we're going to be seeing more and more of this. And the other thing as well, Pete, is that I know people will be watching this going, yeah, but if you go and tell the EA won't do anything. You've got to hashtag these people, haven't you, or at them?
I think you've got to do that. I think you've got to be straight at the EA and continually at them as well, and take photos. We can put them, some of the guys I saw in Wales recently were doing that sort of stuff. And, this isn't new, what I'm talking about. Lots of people are doing it already, but I think we need to perhaps do it on a larger scale if we can, if people have the time to actually do it. And photographs, you can get report numbers from the EA and then contact them there, and then they will chase it up. One of the issues is, and the podcast I'm releasing tomorrow, Martin was saying that they reported a sewage leak and the EA officer didn't get there till 2 days later. And so obviously it's flushed through the system by then. So they're not seeing this sort of thing. And my worry is that it's only going to be dead fish that will make them act. So that's my worry about that, I have to say.
No, and the thing is video it as well. And don't forget as well, I've got 2 comments, so I'm going to have a quick look at what people are saying. Also, as well as the Angling Trust, we've got, I've got Andrews left. So yes, you've got Patrick Camber. He says, well said, Pete. Pat Camber, Fly Fishing and Fly Time magazine. So there you go. So thanks very much there, Patrick, for your words. And Andrew McCrombie, who's had to leave, but he's going to catch up later. He said a great discussion. So huge thanks as well, Pete, for making this. I think more people need to make this aware that this is happening.
Well, Yeah, it's not so much me. It is people like Fergal, like we've said, and lots of other people out there, and Corin on the salmon farms, and lots of other people. And there's another gentleman, Don Staniford, I think I've been talking to as well, about the salmon farms, and saying, right, okay, what can we do? And just continually help spread the word. Even a retweet or whatever will reach people and engage people. And if we can be a big, loud voice, then I think they'll find that hard not to ignore. That's my hope anyway. And as fishing, it looks as though coming out of COVID, the fishing's having a little bit of a growth spurt, which is fantastic news. If we can make people aware of those aspects as well, and it's coming back to what we were saying, it's not just about the fish, it's the environment as well that they live in. And we're really lucky as anglers, the places we go and the places we see, we're so lucky with that. So if we can help look after them, which we always have done, I know anglers are known as guardians of the waterway and everything else, but it may be that we just have to shout a little bit louder, otherwise the water companies will still keep thinking they can get away with it.
And I do think anglers go and follow the Angling Trust as well, because the Angling Trust, with their fish legal, they are doing a lot of work. They're also lobbying government as well. So the Angling Trust, just tag them into it, because they'll want to know as well. And in Scotland, just tag us in, or in the northeast and northwest of England, just tag Fish Pal, because we do have people contacting us saying they've seen this, and we're passing that on to the water board, to the fishery board, so that they can actually get their scientists, etc. out. Now, before I go, I just wanted to ask you, because obviously we all know that Brett, Mr. Brett, who is just very dapper, isn't he? Will you be joining Brett in the sartorial tweed clothing soon?
I can confidently say no. I'm jeans and t-shirt, and he is most of the time. I think he just wanted to do that, basically, just to say he'd done it. But I can't condone that photograph. I'm really sorry.
Well, Pete, thanks so much. Tomorrow, the podcast coming out, which everybody can get from flyculturemag.com. So you can go onto flyculturemag.com and actually click the link for all your podcasts as well. They're all found on all the other places, Apple, etc. And tomorrow is going to be a really good one with Martin Smith. And you've got, obviously, that'll be your 41st tomorrow.
42nd. We did a lovely one with Dave Felsin, lives, funnily enough, on the Spey. But we did it about carp last week. And he likes to target carp without throwing out dog biscuits and things, and targeting them and stalking carp, which was really, really, I learned loads from him as well. So that was really cool. So this will be 42 or 3, I think. 42, yeah.
Was he talking about carp fishing up in the far north of Scotland? And
No, not so much. He does do some around there, but he goes to Spain. He goes all over the place chasing those. He has a lovely little Facebook group, Carp Champions, I think. I had a look at that. And they talk about carp fishing and stalking carp all over the world, actually, which is really, really interesting.
Wow. Well, because I know we've had people asking about carp fishing in Scotland. So that's why I'm always trying to find a little bit more for carp for our fly anglers and salmon and trout anglers that want to try carp fishing as well. Because that was during lockdown. That was one of the things that people were actually asking about going to do carp fishing as well. So, but huge thank you, Pete. Magazine comes out 4 times the year, £9 per issue and £36 annually, and you ship it worldwide. Just go on to Fly Culture Mag. You can get your Instagram there. You've also got your Facebook links on that as well, haven't you?
Yeah, we put content out on Instagram. We put stuff on Facebook. We obviously have the podcast, which, like you say, you can get via all of the usual platforms. The magazine is a little bit more expensive. And the reason it is that we have 0 adverts in there. So it's always content. So there's no adverts. And importantly as well, there's no advertorial. So there's no hidden stuff in there. I'm not going on free trips or anything like that. These are it is 100% content, and that allows us to be independent the whole time. That allows me to talk about what we're talking about now, and I'm sure we may do to a degree in the magazine there as well at some stage. We have done, we've tackled salmon farms, and there may be some other things, but we're absolutely 100% independent, and you get 100% content, 100 pages of content.
And you also pay your contributors as well, which is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're paid. Our designer, John Ogborn-Shout, needs to go out to him as well, who designs it. He's absolutely fantastic. Emma and I work on putting it together, and with input from Brett as well. And then we send that off to John. He does what he's doing. He's sketching at the moment a bass for a bass piece that we've got in there, and he does an amazing job on there. So we're so lucky to have him, and as part of the team and as part of the family as well.
Yeah, and if you go on to Facebook, everybody, and the Facebook is Fly Culture Mag, go and have a look at some of the pieces of art that's on there. I love the photos, and it's just the colour of it, the quality of it as well, and I just think it's brilliant. So huge thank you, and a huge thank you to the team as well that are producing an exceptionally high quality magazine, which is there's not many of them around. So
no, there's not so many. So support them. But yeah, it's a thrill to be involved in that marketplace and be a little bit different. We tread our own path, and we don't follow a path. We do our own thing, and we cover just about every form of fly fishing, really.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And I'm just going to take you out the feed. I'm going to take myself out the feed, and everybody can see one of the fly culture pictures as we leave this evening. Huge thank you to my junior anglers, Cheyenne and Gordo Stronach, who fished Lockinch. And if you want to go and fish Lockinch, I would highly recommend it. Absolutely beautiful, up just not far out from Aberdeen. Perfect if you are fishing the Dee, the Darn, the Devon, any rivers around there that you want a day trout fishing. So huge thank you as well, Pete, for coming on. And I look forward to listening to Martin Smith tomorrow on your podcast, which everybody can get via flyculturemag.com. You can get the link on there. So thanks, Pete, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Anne, so much for having me along. It's lovely being the other side of the mic.
Oh, well, we've got Rodriguez. He said hello. And Rodriguez, you've finally come. Rodriguez, you're going to have to listen to this again, I'm afraid. Rodriguez is from Argentina.
Cool.
So Rodrigo, you're going to have to listen to this again. It really is well worth a listen. And if you haven't got the magazine, you want to go and get the magazine as well, Rodrigo. Anyway, you take care, my lovely. See you soon. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye, everybody. And I am going to leave you with the Fly Culture magazine